Welcome back to our channel. We're so glad that you're with us today. Today we're going to make a custom dining room table. Now it's custom because the size and the shape are made to fit exactly into the dining room space. What we're doing here is we're starting with the legs. The legs are going to be a little bit, I guess you could say, a decorative style leg. So we cut the 3" by 3" post for the leg, and now we're cutting the detail trim that goes around the bottom of it. This part of the trim is 1 by 2. Once we have the pieces cut out, we put them in our 90-degree square clamp and we start welding these pieces together. We'll make the two sides and then marry them together and weld those up. Now we could have made these, cut them, welded them to the post as we went around, but we find that it's easier if we make them this way, slide the post over it, and then weld these to the post. We find it's a little bit more forgiving than trying to weld it to the post and get all your miters exactly right. This particular design of the table, it's going to have 2 large posts and 1 small post, because on the small post side there's actually going to be a bench made that goes up against the wall, and that if we did a larger post on that side it would interfere with the bench, or more specifically when people were sitting at the bench. Once they're all welded out, we're back at the corner of our bench with the magnetic clamp, and you can see it does a real good job holding these little pieces down. And we're just going to get them cleaned up and ready to weld onto the post. So here we're working on another detail of these posts. This is just going to be another ring that goes around them. Now this is 1/2" by 1/2" square tubing, and it's just going to add another detail to the post. We go through the same process as we did with the 1x2. We weld these corners together, and then we'll weld the two pieces together to make a square. Then we'll get them all cleaned up and ready to weld onto the post. Here, that first piece that we made, you can see we're squaring it up to the bottom of this post and tacking it from the bottom. Now this next detail for the post, we went back and forth whether or not where we wanted to put it, how we wanted it to look. We didn't have any really set design that we had to follow, so we just kind of played with it a little bit, and we decided to hold it up 1 inch off of the 1x2 and tack it in place there, and it came out pretty sharp. Now for the final bit of detail for these legs on these posts, we took some more of that 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch material and we're just running it up the edges of the post, and it makes the whole post look a little bit bigger and gives it a nice little detail. And it's super easy to do. So with the legs done, we start on the outside frame of the table. This is the actual shape of the table, and we're using 2 inch by 2 inch square tubing. And if I remember correctly, this stuff is 090 wall thickness. You can see us using that 90-degree square clamp. Again, we use it a lot in the shop. It works really well. Here we're taking some time and making sure that when we weld those corners together, those two pieces together, that the whole frame is nice and flat. That's a critical step when you're making these frames, and when you're especially making a table or anything with this frame, you want them nice and flat and all those corners to be flat and square to each other. Then we just finish welding out all the edges, all the pieces, and then we'll get them all cleaned up. So we threw up a piece of underlayment on the bench here. This is a piece of scrap that we had, and we laid the frame over the top of it and marked it out there, cut out for that angle. Now we're just marking out and laying out for that second piece that's going to go on the end there. Once we have it laid out, we cut it and then stick it in there. We'll end up biscuit joining those two pieces together and then supporting it underneath with the subframe. So we designed up these top plates that'll go on top of those legs in Fusion 360, and we're cutting them out of some 10 gauge steel here on the CNC plasma table. This is how we're going to attach the legs to the bottom of the table. Once we got them cut out, we just weld the legs to these plates. So here we've cut and we're welding in the subframe inside this frame. Now this is what that underlayment's going to attach to. Now we're just cleaning it up real quick with the DA and some 180 grit, getting ready for paint. So we just lay down this color that the customer picked out, let it set up, and then we'll come back and we'll put a clear coat over it. Here, after a quick trip to the gym and a 3-mile run, we come back and we put the clear coat on. So the product that we're using is a vinyl laminate floor. This is waterproof stuff, and we're gluing it down with some contact cement. So what we have to do is we lay it out and we cut all the pieces first, and then once all the pieces are cut, then we can come back and glue it all down to the table, and that's what we're doing here. And there's a closer look at it. There it is in its new home. Again, we thank you guys for watching, and if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. There'll be a new video every week. Thanks again.